going to share with you all of the books that I've been collecting over the past like 6 months maybe, and have not had a chance to either finish a book or even start one. I mentioned in one of my previous videos, one of my other videos, that my library branch had been closed for 6 months for renovation, and I was in the same building as our collection development office, and I had access to a lot of ARCs. So while I was there, I was just collecting a lot of ARCs and bringing them home and just stacking them on my ever-growing pile of books to read. So I'm going to share all of those with you, some that I purchased, some that I just got from the advanced reader copy shelves at my job. So first up, and none of these are in any particular order, but first up is this book. It looks like nothing, but at the end of July, I spent a week in Alabama in the beautiful, hot Alabama sun, and I really enjoyed my time there. It was an experience that I did not expect to have. I was really apprehensive about being in the South. I hadn't been down South since I was a kid. I used to go and visit South Carolina. It's where my mother's family is from. But being there was a very emotional experience. I visited the 16th Street Baptist Church. I walked or rode across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and then went to the African American History Museum, which is right across the street from the 16th Street Baptist Church, and just walked and explored the exhibits there. And I never experiencing Black history while in the epicenter of Black history was an experience that I will forever cherish. Like, I still need to go back to Alabama and see some other places. I really wanted to get to Dr. King's house and his church where he preached, but I also had the opportunity to hear firsthand account from some activists who experienced the civil rights movement when they were teenagers, and we heard their stories, and that was just phenomenal. Hearing their stories firsthand, usually we hear it through like textbooks and through means of social media and, you know, web content and stuff like that, but never had I'd heard those experiences firsthand. But anyway, when I was at the museum, I picked up this collection of poetry, media, portraits. So this was a collaboration of the Collaborative Exchange Exploring Labeling and Stereotype and Graphic Design. So the name of the book is called Sticks and Stones. There are some beautiful images in here, along with poetry, just exploring stereotypes through the medium of graphic design. And I just flipped through this book. I haven't read it cover to cover yet, just flipped through it while I was traveling. Another recent pickup is just 100 Best Yoga and Pilates exercises for strength, flexibility, and control. I have begun to take teaching yoga serious, so I wanted to pick up a book to add to my practice, and so that I can share that with others. I am not certified. I would love to be certified. I have been practicing yoga for about 8 years, and I actually love the teaching experience, and a lot of people come to me and ask them to share in their practice, and I can never turn it down. So while I was in Alabama, this is going so back and forth, but anyway, while I was in Alabama, I was reading Sing Unburied Sing by Jessamine Ward. This is an ARC that I picked up from work. I have only gotten this far in it. I picked this up whenever I just have some free time. This book, the beginning of this book, is so gruesome. I could not read it while I was eating. It's just so raw and so gruesome. She's describing a slaughter of an animal, and like, I'm already vegetarian, so that was, just reading it was enough. So I had to read it in pieces. I finally got beyond that scene, but so far Jesmyn Ward's writing is just amazing. I need to etch out time in my day to finish reading this. This cover art is just delicious. This cover art is everything. I love it. Earlier on in the year, I picked up the autobiography of Malcolm X as told by Alex Haley. I think I've hauled this before. I think every conscious person I know has read this book, especially every conscious black man that I know has read this book, and they refer to it all the time, and they can quote lines. So I have a little cousin, a young lady. She is, how old is she? She is like 11 years old, and her dad made her read this book. And I was like, wait a minute, if she's reading this book, if she's gotten through it, I need to do it too, so I can have conversation with her about it. And then another arc, The Gap of Time by Jeanette Winterson. This is a part of the Hogarth Shakespeare collection. I was dying to read that book. I have another one from that collection, I believe. I was dying to read books from the collection. I did not get a chance to do it. Hopefully I can pick this up soon. I cannot make any promises about this though. And then The Sellout by Paul Beatty. This is the winner of the Man Booker Prize. It is extremely popular. I need to read it. I know. I picked this up. I've already read this. I read this like way at the beginning of the year, but because it was free and I wanted it in my collection because I love this book, I snatched it up because I wanted it. I went to a program at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum where I met Fiona, who is the star of this book and also the movie, the Queen of Katwe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. She was just a beautiful young lady, and I'm so glad I had the opportunity to share a space with her. I got it, well, it is autographed. It's autographed. The discussion that she had with her coach at the museum was really nice. It was quite insightful and actually inspired me to watch the movie. I hadn't been really interested in seeing the movie before going to the event. I also have Walk Away by Cory Doctorow. I read A Little Brother a little while ago, like maybe a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it. I have no idea what this book is about. Actually, I need to have my glasses on so I can look at what these books are about. All I saw was his name and I was like, okay, I have to have it. I don't even know what the book is about. So it seems like it's just about a group of friends. One of the friends is an heiress. She's ultra rich. It's very, very futuristic and so much on the line of Cory Doctorow with some paranoia with society. That is such an oversimplification, just my assumptions. I don't know. And then I saw this Here We Are. It is just a collection of essays, feminist essays, and voices from the feminist movement discussions, and they're just little essays in here. I pick this up whenever I feel like some lady empowerment. And then I'm excited about this one, and I'm so ready to read this. I'm so ready to read this. This is Tiny Pretty Things by, I'm gonna pronounce her name wrong, her last name, so I'm just gonna say Sona, and then also Danielle Clayton. Danielle Clayton is dope. If you've ever had a chance to view her website and just learn about her, she has accomplished so much at such a young age, and I just spent all day one day just on her website, and it was just so inspired. I'm so ready to get into this. I have been reading a lot of literature, a lot of articles, a lot of heavy stuff between school and work, and I really just want to go mindless and read some good teen fiction. I haven't had a good teen fiction in such a long time. I have, however, had some really good adult fiction. This is the third book in the Crazy Rich Asian series. This is Rich People's Problems by Kevin Kwan. And you guys, this book is so amazing. So in here, I don't want to give it away. Like, if you guys have not read the series, I think me explaining this book will give a lot of the plot line from books 1 and 2 away. I will say that it is juicy. It's so juicy. And then I have Haruki Murakami's Men Without Women. This was released in May, and yeah, this was released in May, and I started to read. I really like Haruki Murakami. I read the Wind-Upper Chronicle. I know that book drove a lot of people crazy, but I got it. I really followed the crazy, otherworldly plot line, the confusion or the fluidity of time and place. And it helped a lot that I listened to it. The narrator was amazing, so I listened to it and also followed along at the same time. And then Kai Miller's Augusta Town. This has also already been released. This was released in May, and I think I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Again, I don't know what this is about. It is set in Jamaica. I'm really interested in that, the setting, or the background being Jamaica. I started this, I'm almost about halfway through this one. This is What Happens When a Man Falls from the Sky by Leslie and Kia Erma. I'm just butchering these names. But this is a collection of short stories, and the first story in this collection really hits home. So, like toward the end of the first story, you are just shocked by the turn of events. And there's a situation of mistaken identity, and something happens toward the end of the story. There's another story that really sat well with me. I think it's a story after that where a young lady, she is moving from the States to Africa because her mom believes that if she is with her family or with her relatives in Africa, she can straighten up and do a lot better there. And her mom doesn't want her to like home for the summer, but she ends up connecting with one of her cousins who has been shunned for having a child out of wedlock, and she's referring to her child as her brother, and the two kind of get into a fight and kind of bond some kind of way. It's a really good story. I have to finish reading this collection. I really enjoyed it. Okay, we're getting down here. This is a lot. Okay. Clybourne Park by Bruce Norris. This is just this is in play, and his imagination of what happens after a raisin in the sun. This should have been done a long time ago. This should have been done a long time ago because it's a play. Like, I can read this in one sitting. Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. Yes, Ayobami Adebayo. This has not been released yet. It's actually released sometime this month. I have it on hold as an audiobook. Void Star by Zachary Mason. I have never read a book by Zachary Mason before. I picked this up because I love kind of science fiction, high fantasy, those kind of books, and this seems to fit that profile. So this is set in San Francisco, where there are drone patrols. They patrol the sky. There's a class war going on between the rich and the poor. Dave Eggers, Heroes of the Frontiers. I started to listen to this and to follow along. I don't think I'm going to keep this, even though Dave Eggers is one of my favorite authors. However, I just was not really into this particular one. It's about a woman who is escaping her life, a divorce, and she packs her kids up and moves to Alaska. And I'm just bored by the beginning, and I think there's like some magical realism in it. I just don't have an interest to continue to read it. Yeah, I tried it. I don't want it, so I'm just gonna give it away. And then finally, The Awkward Thoughts of W. Kamau Bell. I walked into Barnes & Noble a few months ago and saw this sitting there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that he was even working on the book. I follow his podcast, Politically Reactive, with Hari Kondabolu, and I love the podcast. I think W. Kamau Bell is quite funny. He's extremely dorky, and it comes out in this book. Like, there's some extremely dorky humor in here that's not really funny, but because I love that kind of humor, I just got it, and I just laughed at it. I really appreciate the book, and I'm happy that he wrote it. I haven't finished it. I started listening to it, and what I was listening to and following along as I was listening was really interesting, learning about his parents, who seem like pretty incredible people, and I don't think I'm going to rush to finish this. I'm going to just read it as I feel like it, whenever I feel like it. Appreciate him in this book. It is not like a page turner. I don't think it is, but a book that I appreciate. So I think that is all of the books